This is the Instant Speed Podcast, episode number 59. My goodness, 59 episodes together, and it always feels like the first time. And our guest this week is Olivia Gobert-Hicks. Yes, cosplayer extraordinaire, my new best friend-ish, kind of, maybe. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of great stuff. Worlds, cosplay, having fun, how you can sort of bring in more people into the community and just sort of put all the competitive nonsense aside and really just enjoy card games and the people who play them. We're going to be talking about that, but before that, I do want to remind you, as I remember my script, that this is brought to you by FAB Cards. FAB Cards, where reality and fantasy meet. Yes, FAB Cards is the place to go for all of your flesh and blood singles, sealed product, all of that jazz, but also all of your other trading card needs. Hey, are you a Pokemon player? We know that Olivia is a big Magic player. I play Magic. I play all kinds of card games. Absolutely. Go check out kfabcards.com. That's KAYFABECARDS.com. FAB Cards. Be who you want to be. What do I want to be? I want to be playing in ProQuest Season 3, which was just announced. Yes, friends, ProQuest Season 3 will be on between January 14th and the 29th, so you can go to fabtcg.com, check out the events locator, find a ProQuest near you, sign up. There's some cool prizes to be had there, some of those resource tokens, some Soraya sleeves, as well as the coveted invitation to the next Pro Tour, which is going to be in mid-2023 in the United States of America. How about the December Armory kits, which are all focused on, dare I say it, a shitty Xmas present. Yes, socks. Hey, I think I might be the only one who actually likes socks. I don't like going out and buying socks. So when Christmas rolls around and I get socks for Christmas, that's actually a +1 for me. Underwear and socks, those are Christmas things for me. I don't want to go out and buy them on my own. So if I get them for Christmas, not so shitty, but you were going to get a shitty Xmas present for the December Armory kits. But how about some more cool community stuff going on? The FAB Team Cup, I'm playing in it. I'm on Team FAB Cards. There's all kinds of great teams that are going to be out there. Team Rock, who are just all, I guess, centered around that gigantic rock that gets tossed around by Brute. The card guys are out there. There's all kinds of great teams that are going to be playing. Team Poland is out there, so it's going to get scary. Friends, don't forget to check that out. Keep your eyes peeled on all the Twitter and the socials, and that's happening. All right, it is episode 59. We have Olivia Gobert-Hicks. We talk all kinds of awesome stuff. Let's get right to it. The Instant Speed Podcast welcomes my new best friend, whether she likes it or not. She is a renowned cosplayer amidst the TCG circles and can be found slinging spells and saucy retorts alongside my dear friend Alias V on Elder Dragon High Jinx. Welcome to ISP, Olivia Gobert-Hicks. Now, is it Gobert or Gobert?
You pronounced it right out of the gate. We are best friends.
I thought Gobert. So. I got to think so, because there's a little bit. There's a lot of French in me. So Gobert just seems like the proper way to say it.
It is. I mean, like, if we want to be really specific, it would be Gobert, but
is
not
it
in France? Well, I mean, that would be the French pronunciation of it, but
yeah, okay. Well,
yeah, the family's from the States. That's what it is. So that's what it is.
Gobert. That's what it is. I mean,
I've heard that before. I've had some real interesting rates. The biggest one is usually people make it Golbear, and I'm like, no, I am not a cross between Steven and the Pokemon. Like, it's different.
Oh, I was thinking Goldberg, like the wrestler from WCW.
Okay, all right, that's a fresh take. I haven't had that one before, but sure, yeah, why not?
All right, so the way that we do this typically for newcomers to the podcast, this is episode 59, by the way. So I'm honestly, I didn't think this was going to go past 5 or 6. So the fact that you're here at 59 is amazing, and I'm already fielding offers for who wants to be on the magical 69th episode. So yeah, I believe it. It's got to be a laundry list of people.
I mean, I'm a little disappointed, to be honest, but
we'll pencil you in if you want, and then we'll do a raffle. Totally.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Origin story is like where I like to start off with people who have first timers on the show, and origin story doesn't have to be kicking off with like when a mommy loves a daddy kind of thing. No, it's
yeah, I didn't think so.
Some people start like, I'm like, hey, tell us like how you got into it. They're like, well, when I was a fetus, and I'm like, no, that's
oh,
yeah, too much of a rewind. So how'd you get into card games, and ultimately we're going to wheel it back to specifically Flesh and Blood. But give us a
Of
little bit
course.
of that origin story.
Right. Origin story, I'll do the TLDR. I knew about like Magic when it came out back in the early 90s. I just never played it. Oh, I, had friends that played, but I just liked the card art, but I'm not super competitive with stuff like that, so I never really like it never took. Um, all my friends throughout high school forever have played it. And so finally in like 2014, I was going to trade school. I got invited to a barbecue with a bunch of my friends. They're like, we're finally gonna get you to play Magic. I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. So I went, we had an eight person, two-headed giant pod of Commander. So I have like one of my best friends like sitting there explaining the whole thing to me and like why I would do this on a certain turn, how the turn actions work, everything like that. And I haven't stopped playing since. So that was the origin for TCG games. It wasn't until like after college, I was in trade school, I was doing all this other stuff and finally got, the hooks in me at that point and I haven't stopped playing since. And then, we'll just check stuff out as it comes up. So that's the TCG origin story is, yep, my friends dragged me into it kicking and screaming. And now I've just been like, I don't do anything else.
Yeah, I feel like that's like when you're just like just try it, like
Yeah.
and you have a little taste and you're like, okay, this is the best thing ever.
And it was never, I think the big thing for me too was that I got brought in a non-competitive, not 1v1 thing because I'm one of those people, I don't like being bad at stuff when I first try it, which is a terrible outlook because then you don't try a lot of stuff. That being said, I never really wanted to feel like super foolish and I didn't really have anyone I would play with regularly anyway. So because of that, there wasn't like this big impetus to hop into it. Once I found out, oh, it's this, my again initial take was Commander. Once it was like, oh, it's this multiplayer thing, and we can be not so cutthroat. Like we can still do big, powerful stuff. We can still like have a story after, blowing up somebody's play and just getting a one up on them. It didn't have to be this like winning's the sole objective or very competitively driven thing. Then I was totally in. It was like, oh, okay, so I can still learn, make mistakes, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a bad player. I am learning, and people are cognizant of that. And I'm in a spot where it's not bad. It's just like, well, this is how you learn. So that made a big difference.
For sure. I think that when it comes to learning things, nothing bruises your ass more than competitive card games and snowboarding. Those are the two
Oh yeah.
that will bruise your ass.
Day one of snowboarding is the worst day you'll ever have. You
God.
gotta push through.
It's honestly a miracle that actually took off because the first person who strapped a board to their feet and was like, let's try this. Like, how do you end up at the bottom of the, first of all, your first trek down. Yeah, your first trek down the mountain is half the day. That is half the day. And if you can get past that, if you can pass the point where you're at the bottom of the mountain and you have that like that chalet in front of you with hot chocolate and booze and stuff, and you're like, and if you can honestly get past the appeal of just abandoning it and going there and licking your wounds and having some drinks, like congratulations. And that's the same thing for card games because in Flesh and Blood you jump into this game, same thing with Magic, like competitive Magic. When I started playing Standard, I was a whipping boy for quite a long time. So it's a good thing that there's outlets that are more community centric, that are casual centric. And to you, that's Commander in Magic. And you're doing that show, Elder Dragon Hijinks, which is amazing and awesome.
Thank you.
And part of that is because, the format itself is a very appealing format for casuals to watch, but you also do it with one of my best friends, which is Alias V. So talk to us a little bit about the show and what you're trying to bring out of out of that entire sort of program. It's obviously a Commander show,
right?
But it's not about crowning a winner. And
no. So
talk to us about Elder.
I'm very
Elder
good
Dragon.
at losing. I appreciate losing in Magic as long as I got to do something cool. Like I do not care if I ever take a W home with me. Our whole thing with doing hijinks is that we just love playing Commander with our friends, and we are the much more it's interaction and the hangout than it necessarily is the W. Like it feels like the game is important, yes, but it also kind of serves the secondary purpose and almost not secondary purpose of facilitating hanging out with our friends and doing dumb shit and just having the best time while we're doing it. So that's where our impetus came from on that.
That's great. And you found a great partner. And I have to ask you this because I got into Magic about the same time that Alias V got into Magic. And she has just propelled herself into stardom within that field, as have you, obviously. And I have to ask you this because I want to know how many. I'm gonna say some things, and I want you to know. I want you to tell me if she has ever said this on the show or to you in gameplay. Okay.
I'm ready. I'm
All
ready.
right. Has she ever told you, like, you'll say something and she says, "Don't tell me what to do"?
I don't think she would tell me. I can't tell her anything. I don't know that I've heard it, but I don't remember it being directed at me.
Okay, but like within the game, within the sort of the scope of
Yeah,
the
don't tell
gameplay.
me what to do. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen that in response to like YouTube comments. too.
Yeah. Okay. So that's for sure. YouTube
Yeah.
comments are a cesspool. You just need to go in
I
there with a
know.
hazmat suit.
I'm aware. I'm
Yeah.
very aware.
All right. Has she ever referred to cutting her deck as "cut my sandwich"?
No, because we resolve all that stuff before we start playing. And
Oh,
she
okay.
and I have never actually had the pleasure of playing Commander together in person.
Okay.
So, no, like since we're doing all our stuff online,
True.
like we can't cut each other's decks, so that would never come up.
That's a
Oh,
good
see,
point.
now I've got the arsenal. I'm ready to go and just come up with answers for these.
Well, what we used to do, I used to go visit her
Mm-hmm.
probably about once a month. She kept moving further and further away from me, and then telling me that it was my fault that I didn't go visit. Whatever. But we used to play Commander, myself, her, and her husband, and and like we've hung out enough now that there's stupid things that come out of my mouth, and I referred to cutting my deck as "cut my sandwich." So I would present it across from whoever's cutting it. I said, "Just cut my sandwich," and then she would start saying it. And then it just became a thing amongst us. That and the don't. Oh, that and here's the other one. This is the other one. Does she ever make a play and then sort of bookend the statement with "as per the rules"?
Oh yeah, that happens every time. The first draw is almost always untap
Yes.
of I draw my card as per the rules.
Okay,
Yeah,
just want to make sure. Yeah, I love it because I used to do that all the time. When I had nothing to do, I would be like, "And I will pass my turn as per the rules," and she'd be like, "Okay, you idiot."
she has definitely absorbed that one.
I love her to death. I love her absolutely to death. She's a wonderful person. But the beautiful part about EDH in general, just as a concept, is the fact that you're not out there to win, right? You're out there to have a good time. Sometimes you'll take the less optimal play for the bigger payoff, and that's what I love about it. You want the fireworks, right?
Exactly. Same. And I mean, that's my style of play too. Like I want to come away with a good story. I don't care if I win or lose. And that's not for everybody. And that's not to say that like playing to win isn't a fine way to do it. Just make sure that you and everybody else at the table are very clear what the expectations are. That's like the one thing that we try to drive home with folks is like, it's okay to play cutthroat. CDH is great if that's what you're looking for. Just make sure everybody's aligned and you're going to have a great time.
I love it. I love it indeed. And there is a version of this, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later because my first introduction to Ultimate Pit Fight, which is essentially the quote-unquote commander version of Flesh and Blood, where you have a big group of people, they're all out to get each other. Our match was played at like 1:30 in the morning in a hotel lobby.
I literally handed it off to Flake and was like, I am going to fall asleep in this chair.
Yeah, but there was slight other influences involved there, which depends on where you are in the world. Could be standard
fine for
procedure.
us.
Yeah.
Yep, we
we're
were
cool.
fine.
We're cool to talk about it, but I can clearly say that you and I were definitely on a clock.
Oh, absolutely. We most certainly were.
Yeah,
It's like, hey guys, you have 45 minutes if you're lucky. Let's get this done.
Yeah, we pulled the fuse on a like a personal hand grenade and swallowed it, and then it was just waiting for the fuse to hit. I mean, I don't know how else to better describe it, but we had to win that game in 2 turns, otherwise it was useless.
We're just gonna be like, these cards are really pretty.
Oh, yeah, everybody out there could probably draw their own conclusions as to what we're talking about, but ultimately it was Olivia and I who played like we were a team.
Yeah.
That was it. We were a team. And again, the cards were the lines of play, the cards were so tight-knit and awesome. We're like, yeah, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. The beauty of playing Ultimate Pit Fight with 5 people is like after your turn's done, you're basically like off the hook for like 20 minutes.
For a minute.
So it was Olivia and I watching stuff go around, and when the turn wheeled back to us, we were kind of just like looking into each other's eyes, being like, "What are we doing? Like, what's going on?" Like, and then
it had been a long weekend. But it was fine.
No, the exhaustion was essentially, exacerbated by the fact that we
very much so.
Yeah, our diet that evening was possibly I couldn't bring it home. Let's say I couldn't take it to the airport. All right.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about Ultimate Pit Fight and the parallels that you could potentially draw and from Commander, because Commander is absolutely your jam. And what are your initial what were your thoughts about Ultimate Pit Fight as a format and where it can potentially improve?
Oh, I loved Ultimate Pit Fight. Again, like the whole 1v1 thing. I mean, that's the thing about FAB, right? So like I've drafted it a couple times now. And the nice thing is, even if you're very new to the game, first off, the community is incredibly kind and everybody's very sweet. And like, we want you to have a good time and we'll beat you if we need to beat you. But like, here's how we can help, which rules. So the first couple times I drafted, I was like, okay, I need borders that are the same thing. I need to make sure these all line up with the right hero and I can grab generic stuff. Cool. So even playing those one-on-ones and like being able to hold my own as a very, toe in the water new player, was super sweet. And it's really nice to kind of be brought in that way. Having the Ultimate Pit Fight where you're fighting too, but you get to like, hey, this person, you want to team up. I love that. So, the first foray with Pit Fight was great because again, I have someone that's, kitty corner to me that can't really like, we're not attacking each other until one of these people are out. So we can, share a game plan, as could the other two. I mean, I appreciated that it was slightly more collaborative and how you're going to knock other people out. And that, it's not all pressure on you all the time. It's very good, especially, at least it is for me, to learn that way too, to watch other people's interactions, to see how other things work, and then start internalizing that information instead of just constantly having it on the mistake track. Like, it's nice to be involved in the game where you get to watch other people play better than you and take something away from that. So I really like Pit Fight for that.
Pit Fight's so great because there's so much
fun.
But like the thing and I was completely against it. And I played a ton of Commander, and I don't know what it was about me not wanting to actually dip my toe into Pit Fight. I think it's mainly because I'm not a very good architect of decks. I'm not very creative when it comes to building stuff. So there's always pressures when people are like, "Oh, come play a Pit Fight with us," and they expect something saucy. And but the diplomacy aspect of it, that's where I shine. Absolutely. Negotiation is my forte, discussion and becoming unassuming yet and kind of being the puppet master who's pulling the strings.
To be, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, well, there was one cycle around the table where we were definitely in control of our faculties, and then that went out the window.
Yeah.
But the phenomenal part about this, and I've also discovered this immediately with Commander, was you find out who people truly are when you start to poke and prod at them. And so let me set the scene for everybody out there. The Commander that the Pit Fight that we played, it was myself and Olivia on a team. To our left was Red Zone Rogue. To his left, around the table, was Steven Cookus, aka DM Armada. I believe there was Hank from Goblin Reserve, and then next to that was Ian Kenderline from New Zealand, and then there was again back to us a 5-point table, which was great.
Was Az there or no?
Az was not playing that one, I don't believe.
That's right, not that one. Okay, yeah.
Right. So we were only, as per the rules, we were only allowed to attack our flanks. So to our left again, Red Zone. To our right was Ian. Red Zone Road decided to bring Yorick, and Yorick shuffles all the cards into one gigantic tower, the silo of sadness. No, we were definitely not ready for it.
We were running the Taylor I had from the weekend, literally. So I just still had it in its plastic, and I was like, "Well,
yeah," and that bad boy was literally sold already. We was on borrowed time at that point. But the fun part about it though was here's Red Zone Rogue throwing an absolute wrench in the gears in terms of everyone's plan, because everyone's shuffling their deck into one and peeling off the top of one gigantic pile. And he's like this, he's there, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna ruin everyone's day, and everyone gets a everyone gets a token and everyone gets this and everyone gets that and everyone's like, all right, fine. But as soon as you go and attack him, his demeanor ultimately just 180s from exactly. And he's like, really? Are you serious? Oh, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to, I mean, it's a 50-50.
It's one of two ways to go, my guy.
But did you not notice how he went from, kind old loot wielding, Yorick the Bard to absolute, like, scorched earth, I hate you.
To cut you. Yeah.
It was phenomenal. And it only became funnier
great.
because of things, but.
Right. It was great. No, it was really fun to do that. It was fun playing it with 5 people. I mean, like, I understand that there's supposed to be like a PvE sort of thing coming out as well next year. That's a slightly different format, but like, again, coming in from another TCG and playing UPF it was exactly my cup of tea. Like, I will play Flesh and Blood like this all the time. Just hand me a deck. I can figure it out. Like, the mechanics are, I think that's one of the things that's so nice is, not that it's not complex, don't get me wrong. In comparison to Magic, like looking at a card and having a basic grasp of the mechanics feels like much easier to jump in. It is one of those easy to learn, difficult to master things where a lot of it, and it's still probably because the game is relatively new, it's easy to kind of discern what you're going to be doing on a turn. And you can start adding complexity as you learn more. But just to sit down with a deck I've never played before, it was very like, okay, no, I get what I'm doing. I see what the thing, oh, okay, you can find the pattern and start playing toward it. So that was really nice.
So is there another version of Olivia that emerges when she's kind of getting bullied in a 4-person game of Commander? Like, do you go from Kellen, the lovable bard, to Red Zone Rogue, the ruthless murderer?
I play into the like, if I'm at a table, I'm usually actually pretty like chill. If like for a lot of games that we're recording or whatever, I will faux and like be antagonized and like real salty and stuff. I'm never actually mad. I think Brian thought I was once when we were playing a Commander game, and he Armageddoned and had, which is just destroy all your lands that tap for mana if you're not familiar with Magic, and then he just passed the turn. Like, he had no follow up to it. He just hosed everybody's board and was like, all right, I'm done. And I was like, I'm playing a deck that requires lands to function, like, at every level. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, just stone face. Like, what is wrong with you? Why am I dating you?
When it gets into the personal life, like, this is different. Yeah.
I was just like, what is, like, who are you? I don't know who you are. And so he told me later, he was like, I was actually afraid that you like weren't going to come back with me. I was like, I didn't care at all. It's like, it was totally fine. It was just like, it was in the game. So I will like seem super upset. I can't, there have maybe been like, of all the Magic games I've played, like, I could count on one hand the times I've actually genuinely been upset and salty. Otherwise, just like, it's fine. If I'm not having the best time, I will next game.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Playing a role is always fun. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, man. When someone just like, when they've got like this behemoth on the board and they're kind of picking which one of you two that they want to send it to.
Doing the Kingmaker, yeah.
Yeah, and you just give them that dead stare like, motherfucker, you send this my way.
I try. And it does not always. It usually doesn't. People have realized that, like, I will not back it up.
No,
I'm looking at you probably because I don't have an answer in my hand. So like,
Yeah, you give them the old, like, you leave some lands open thinking that you've got a response. It's like, yeah, I dare you. I effing dare you. No, bluffing is so part of it.
Bluffing's absolutely part of it. I will absolutely leave lands up when I have a land in hand and just be like, you don't know. I don't have an instant until you call me on it. And then I definitely don't.
Yeah, exactly. Suck on this mystery, bitch.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So World Championships wrapped up for Flesh and Blood. You were there. You were an absolute saving grace for many of us over there, not just being out there and being a cosplayer and being Olivia, but you kind of mama bared my sorry cub ass, which was just dying on, I think it was day 2. I was just in, lack of sleep, tired, speaking all day, and a headache, dehydrated, and you immediately figured that one out, and you're like, I got you.
Read that like a book. I think he just walks back. So I'm in the like behind the scenes area where they're doing all the editing and like getting the stuff going for the stream and for coverage. And he just walks back and looks like he's been hit by a train. I was like, do you need ibuprofen? You're not drinking enough. I went and I gave him my water, got like meds for him. I'm just don't like go back out there. I go walk and get them water and make sure they all have snacks. I absolutely mama beared at the convention. I was like, I don't think the coverage team's taking care of themselves. So here I am dressed as Prism, just like force feeding them, drink your water, have the snack, eat.
Yeah, you hit me with these like eagle eyes. Like, okay, this water bottle better be inside you by the end of like this like 2-minute conversation that we're having. Like, you drink this.
Empty by the time we're done talking. I will turn this van around. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. That's it. Back to Winnipeg. Like, let's just go right back. But honestly, it was a saving grace, but completely 100%. Because frankly, when these things happen, my main concern is I'm like, okay, this is what prioritizes in my mind. It's like, okay, wake up. I dressed myself. Like, yeah. And then I need to be at the venue for call time. And that's it.
Also, big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. But like nourishment, sustenance, that never really makes
all
it to
forfeit.
No.
Yeah.
So bless you, child, for your help there. But your impressions of World Championships in general, it certainly had its hiccups and its bumps, but there were also some great shining moments.
I mean, like, we won't speak, it wasn't Flesh and Blood's fault that we were in a large tent.
That is correct.
Right.
I was just waiting for like
I
the
think
elephants to come in.
I think everybody could have asked for a better venue. Outside of that, it was really cool. It's such a different vibe from Magic stuff. Not like in this horrific way, like, oh my God, I would never go back to one of them, but it's definitely a different thing. It's being at Worlds was very interesting from the outside looking in, since I'm not necessarily like super into FAB as hard as I am with, say, another TCG.
You can say Magic. This is this is the weird
thing
about it.
I know you're not sponsored. I know I can say that, but it's
you
just
can say whatever the hell you want. Honestly,
we just talked about it for so long. Like,
absolutely. People come on here and they tiptoe around it. They're like, another game that shall remain nameless. I'm like, I can say it. It's Magic.
Well,
I play Magic.
I've been saying it. I'm just
you're good. You're good.
I'm tired of saying it. Yeah, like being there, it's people are super sweet. It's fun just walking around. Everybody wants to get pictures and talk to you and stuff. And I think one of the coolest pieces of feedback I ever got was not at this Worlds, but in New Jersey earlier this year.
Yeah, it was in May, I believe, which seems like June or March maybe, I don't know.
First early second quarter.
Q1.5. That's what we'll say.
Right. Somewhere in there. And someone coming up to both me and Christine, who was dressed as Duranthe at the time, and just saying, like, it is so cool seeing you guys here. It makes it feel so much more real. It's like it isn't just, a bunch of nerds renting out a convention space somewhere. Like, there are other people coming in. There are people trying to contribute to a community vibe, to it being more than just sitting down at a table and moving cards around. So it definitely felt that way at Worlds. I, can't speak to like how the competition felt, obviously, since I wasn't really participating in that, but instead just like pacing around and making sure, hey, if people want to get a picture with a hero they like, I'm here with the stick. It's cool. Come on up. So it's always nice, like, being able to participate in that and kind of like add to the ambiance of the event. So at least from that perspective, it was really cool. Everybody seemed to be having a very good time. The folks that I got to chat with were just happy to be there. And yeah, it seemed like a really nice thing as someone a little further outside of the community.
Cosplay culture in TCGs seems to have become more and more intimately linked, I find. Again, I don't have the same background that many people do in terms of, attending major events and such, but I've attended some bigger Magic stuff. Magic Fest in Toronto was the biggest one I've ever gone to, but there was nothing cosplay related in terms of being recognized by the organizers as part of it. Do you find that cosplay in the past couple of years have really ramped up in terms of they come part and parcel to this genre and this game and this culture? Cosplay will always be officially linked to these major tournaments now.
I think in the TCG world, it has become more prevalent, because obviously, like, cosplay has been a thing for many, many years now. And, dressing up as your favorite characters at cons has been going on since like the 60s and 70s. Like, that part's not new. I just think that, yeah, it does seem like it is another way of a community showing like their appreciation, their dedication to their universe, their TCG, their game that they love. They want to bring stuff that brings them joy. They want to bring that to life. And having the ability to do that, having it be recognized, having it be appreciated by both the community and the companies that are like running these things is nice. It is validating. And I think it's getting to the point that people recognize that it's like these things are too small for us to just like be there for attention. We're there because we love it. We're there because we, I appreciate the community that we're interacting with. We are there because we love the game. We are there because we love the art. We are there because there's something else that speaks to us as well. And it's just nice to see that that's being appreciated back by the TOs, by the companies doing this.
Yeah, I doubt it. You're somebody who's going to invest all that time and money to a cosplay just because you want people to take a picture with you. Like, I feel like there's well more to it than just that kind of,
absolutely.
I'm so vain, I'll spend this much money because I want some nerd to come and ask me for a photo.
It's a lot of time, and it's funny, like, for the amount, and this is, at least for me, I never got this too much, but it has died down. I've seen from other people like, oh, well, what do cosplayers even do? It's like, do you have any idea what it takes to make these, like, at all? Because I bet you don't. It's a lot of work, and you don't really want to take it on for nothing, because a lot of times it can be kind of thankless and just like taken for granted, I guess. Like, well, of course there's going to be people there playing dress up or whatever, and it just kind of gets, brushed off. So when you do put work, appreciation, your time and talent into something, and then like it is seen and appreciated by the community and the larger, again, TOs and the game developers in the first place, it is nice. It does feel good. And at the same time, like there's more to it than just like, I'm going to dress up because I can. Like, it's because there's something that makes you want to. It's because it means something to you.
I love it. And there's more and more people that are dipping their toe into it. So I have to ask you.
What so great.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Like that's got to be a good feeling, because it's just seeing people not just know that, hey, it's okay to show up dressed up like whoever the hell you want. Like, let's be real. Like, I have my Han Solo costume. Like, that's the only thing that I have going on, like fully with the whole thing. But like, to me, I want to wear it to go do groceries. Like, like that's what I want to do. And
like, what's stopping you?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't know. You're not wrong. Like, there's like, at the end of the day, dude, if I get my lettuce and my, my vegetables and my meat and so whatever, like, as long as I come home with a grocery bag full, if I can do it dressed up as me or dressed up as Han freaking Solo, like, there's clearly an advantage to being, a smuggler from Corellia going to go pick up some produce.
Obviously. Right? Yeah.
Got to do it.
Like, I mean, right, like, if you want to, why not? Like, there's no harm in it. If you derive any joy from it, you should. I mean,
it's a good rule for anything, frankly.
Right? Like, you get one spin on the planet, you might as well have a good one and make it the best you can. So if you want to, like, dress up for something, do it.
Do it. So what was your first foray into cosplay? What was the first character that you really, went out there and said, I'm going to do a cosplay, I'm going to put some time in, let's do it? What was your first?
So, no surprise, my first one was Liliana Vess from Magic. Hilariously, though, my intended very first was Shayla from Chrono Trigger. And I wanted to go to Emerald City Comic Con, and I wanted to be Shayla. And then I realized I don't know how to sew. And by the time that, well, at the time I didn't, I do now. At the time that I wanted to, and like kind of pieced all that together, it was way too late to commission somebody. So I was like, okay, guess not this time. So I got a little heavier into Magic. And then I was like, I saw some of Christine Sprinkle's work just when I was like Googling stuff. And I was like, oh, so somebody has cosplayed Magic. I was like, well, that means I can. So I'm just going to do it. So I went and got a bunch of like books and patterns and just kind of like threw myself into it. It took months to do it because I had no idea what I was doing. So I was like learning the skill sets as I'm doing them, of course. And for 2016, I think I had a Liliana vest that I made like the whole rigmarole out of Warbler and all this other stuff. And I wore it to Emerald City Comic Con for 2 days, and I put it away for a year and a half. And then I wore it to 2017 Comic Con for Emerald City Comic Con for 2 days and put it away. And like I wasn't like getting into cosplay. I just wanted to dress up as Liliana. And I ended up going to another tournament that same year in Vegas in 2017, and I met a bunch of the other cosplayers. And I was like, oh, holy shit, like there's a whole community of people that do this. Made friends with a bunch of them, and I've been doing it since. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that was how I got into it, I guess. So magic and flesh and blood are the only things I've cosplayed for.
But hey, Chrono Trigger's still on the radar, right?
I mean, oh yeah, now that I actually could do this and like have over this time developed it, I should make my Shayla cosplay. Oh, it's the best game ever.
You can go. I mean, it's still you've got the experience now, right?
I
Like,
do, yeah. I
but
could
do
whip
you
it out in a
have the
couple days.
time? And this is what I want to get to is the struggles of
No.
it. Yeah, that's the other thing because like as I wanted to talk about the struggles of cosplaying and the the challenges that are posed to if you say like, hey, I want to be a not just a cosplay for like one event because if you have enough lead time and you just want to do it, anybody can make it happen and then go back to their lives and have that wonderful costume or their wonderful cosplay ready to go. But
Yeah.
doing it regularly and being known for it and being invited to different places, the struggles of being a full-time cosplayer, I listed, okay, expenses, the time and the effort, the skill sets that you need to acquire, and also just the stresses of being quote unquote on. Because when
Yeah.
you're at an event, if you're having a bad day, you can't have a bad day as Prism. You can't have a bad
Especially
day as
not if you're
Liliana.
invited. If they brought
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you really don't get, you're not allowed to have bad days. I mean, you are, but like, and obviously, if you're having a real bad day, you should tell your TO, and almost everybody's been very accommodating. It's just like, hey, migraine, not leaving the hotel room. Don't worry, this isn't on you. I will just collapse into myself if I try to leave. But yeah, you don't like, you're there to be part of an experience for somebody. It doesn't get to be about you. It's not about you or your ego or like your own self promotion. Like, you're there for somebody else. You're there to help make the players and the people at that event have an experience, have some immersion if that's what they're looking for, and just kind of add to it for them. So yeah, it's totally not cool to just be dismissive or rude or something. It's like, if you're exhausted, cool. This is what you signed up for. Plaster a smile on your face and just be kind to every single person that comes up to you. Like, there's really not any excuse not to be. And again, we're all human. Sometimes it just gets the better of you. You're tired, you're hungry, your feet hurt, like everything. And, you'll not be as kind as you want, or just like be like, hey guys, right now is not the time, I need to eat. You just want to try to be there, present, and help people have a good time. So yeah, it's definitely one of those like, yes, I'm annoyed by X, Y, and Z, but hi, sweet random person. Thank you so much for saying hi. It's been really good to meet you. Did you want to get a picture? Cool. Awesome. Have a great event. And then like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, a lot
But
of people.
you gotta be nice. And if ever, I mean, like, there have been times where I was exhausted and said something totally reasonable and nice to someone, just like, hey, you know what? Can you find me for a picture tomorrow? Here's where I'm gonna be. Like, I am on my way out. I really appreciate you saying hi, but like, I am wilting right now. And there have been times where I get back to my hotel room and I'm like, was I mean to somebody by accident, and just want to cry? Just like, oh God, I hope I wasn't like, I didn't come off the wrong way. So yeah, there's definitely stress to being on.
Yeah, it's a scary reality because people will want to talk to you
Yeah.
and it's difficult because people might not understand. It's like the venue might open at 9 or you might be there at like 9 or 9:30, but you were up at like 7 or 6 getting ready and putting the costume on and transporting everything to the venue, carrying all this stuff, which is, I mean, it's not a t-shirt and shorts, right? You're wearing practically armor and walking around, and there's fatigue on your body, there's fatigue on your mind as you're, speaking to people. When I'm casting, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore talking to people, but there are certain times where the timer will go on and it's like, okay, you have 4 minutes before you need to go on. And I am like bursting at the seams because all I had for the past 4 hours was like 16 cups of coffee, and I need to pee like you've never known in your life. And
And
I'm
someone comes up and says hi, and you're like,
well,
I can't be mean to this person, but I am on a mission
exactly.
right now.
It's like this. There's an accident waiting to happen, and it is so backlogged that we are both in danger here. So, but that's what people need to understand. Where you're like, I'm sprinting from the booth to the bathroom, and someone's like, "Hey, Flake, how's it going? Can I get a picture?" I was like, "Yes, we can. No
Yes,
problem."
later, let me do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pee Flake pee. Very urgent, and that's the part of it. But that's the stress that's associated with it, which a lot of people might not get, is that with that attention and that with people wanting to be around you and talk to you, that's part of and parcel of it. I mean, cosplayers wouldn't,
Absolutely, yeah.
But what about everything that happens behind the scenes? That's the stresses and the challenges of like once everything has come to fruition and the cosplay is complete. But what about everything beforehand? For instance, let's talk about that Prism, or let's say the Liliana, and like the evolution of your first cosplay to the Prism cosplay. Let's talk about expenses, time, the skills that you had to learn. So we'll talk about, we'll start with the Liliana. Compare the Liliana cosplay, your first, to the Prism one. Let's talk about expenses and your first impressions of like what you thought this was going to cost to what it actually comes down to.
Well, it was like triple what I budgeted, because I budgeted materials and not tools that I didn't own yet. It was real bad. And that Lily took me, I want to say, like 3.5 months to make, because I was doing it, in the time I had after work from my like full-time job. And, some of it was like learning stuff, and then others was trying to apply it, and maybe I made a mistake and then I have to redo it. So there was, the time with extension was very long on that. Yeah, getting the tools and all the stuff that you think you thought of, but you actually didn't, added a lot of expense to it. Thankfully, a lot of those are recouped in the fact that like I still have those tools and can use them. But yeah, it was not a cheap endeavor. It can be done for not a lot of money. And I was in a good position that I was able to buy a lot of stuff new and like kind of like, build up to it. But yeah, it can be kind of rough. There was someone that came up at Worlds actually and was like, yeah, I was really thinking about my partner and I were really thinking about getting into cosplay, and I love a spreadsheet to really kind of wrap my head around everything. And he's like, once I was putting everything in the spreadsheet of like, here are the tools I have to get, here are the skills I have to learn, he's just like, I might just commission somebody. I was like, totally reasonable. Like, I understand completely. It is a lot of time and energy. And I mean, even amongst cosplayers, like we'll use each other's patterns, or if somebody is, Sydney, who was Dash at that very first Vegas in the States, is a wig mancer. She's incredible with getting wigs to work and look the way you want. So we will trade. I can probably bang out a piece of armor faster, so I'll do armor for her and she'll make my wigs work. Like, we'll barter and have specializations within the grand, litany of skills we need to have. So it's definitely a multidisciplined approach, because there's a lot of stuff you've got to think about, consider. Can I have this element store bought? Am I going to be in a contest and I can't store buy anything? I have to make the majority of it, etc. So there's a lot of consideration to go into it. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of time. And the cool part is like you get a lot of skills out of it. And once you have them, you can apply them elsewhere, which is nice. And it can be really enriching. It's nice to have something that you made with your hands, can wear, and just be like, no, I made this.
There's
like,
pride there.
I did this. Yeah, and that part's really cool. I personally, I worked in government and in politics for like too long. And then I remember I took a break and I went to trade school, and I like took a class, or before I went to trade school, I took a class at like a community college of like making jewelry. And I was like, but at the end of the day, did I work on spreadsheets, or like I can show you a physical object made of matter that was at the dawn of the universe that I have bent to my will? One of those things is way cooler, and you get to take with you a lot more than the other.
Forged within a dying star. This little, exactly. There is true, like it's almost romantic in that regard, where you're like, if you describe it that way, creating something and building something. Ages ago, I always used to like Halloween is still my favorite, holiday of all time. Yeah, and I took apart and I learned how to solder. I learned, I
Oh, yeah.
learned how like electricity and resistance and stuff like that, and I made like an Iron Man core, like a
No shit.
and a handpiece. I have pictures and like videos and stuff like that. But I
Oh,
literally
wow.
I put in, like you said, a month. But it was an eye opener to me, because when I was like, how hard can it be? And then again after
Oh, actually very hard.
Oh yes, because I learned what a capacitor is, and I learned that it stores energy and then shoots it directly into your heart if you touch it, which is amazing because I had no clue what being electrocuted was until it happened twice. Because I took like an old flash from I took an old flash from a disposable camera, because I used that mechanism as like my,
Oh.
for my
Yeah, yeah,
hand,
yeah. I
and
gotcha.
but I had to charge it, so I had the charge on my arm. But while I was taking apart this camera, I kept charging the camera, which was the flash mechanism, but I kept forgetting that if I touch it, that's where all the energy is. And it was a certainly a rude awakening, where I was there in
Bless
the,
you, child.
yeah, at like 11 at night, and my roommate would be watching something on TV, like Sports Center, and all of a sudden I'd be there, and I'll be like, and he'd be like, what the hell? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. YouTube, tell me what happened.
I learned how electricity flows.
Oh boy, yes, it's a miracle I'm still alive. But the skills that you're talking about, much like the skills of like I had to learn how to solder, and I needed to be educated on electricity, resistance, things like that. What do you feel is what are some of the skills that you picked up that you are so grateful to have, that you're like, wow, I learned this, and even though the product is this wonderful cosplay, the product is also the fact that I learned some pretty awesome skills.
Yeah. I understand now how important it is to actually measure things. Uh, I've had some flexibility in previous work iterations and stuff like that. Like that's a really important. Measuring's very, very big deal. Interestingly, like I didn't know how to sew going into it, and now I can't stop. I have a surgery. I've got my heavy duty machine like right over here. Like you messaged me while I was like sewing something for the LARP that I'm in to make myself a new outfit for the winter. So I was already a pretty crafty person. I think that it wasn't necessarily that I learned a ton of new skills, but more how to integrate them with one another. Got much better at like finishing stuff, learned how to shade. So I have like a more critical eye on how I'm supposed to have things like look real. Like, because it's no shade with like putting a coat of metallic paint on something and that is your initial armor piece. And you're like, okay, how do I take this to the next level? And I think I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from it is the curiosity of, yeah, but I could make it better. So how do I do that? And kind of having that drive to like next level yourself. I ended up taking up like 3D printing with it. I have, I already did like some baseline sculpting on a very small scale with metal. So I had to start applying that with clay and foam sheet and stuff like that. How to attach things, how certain materials are going to interact with one another. It's wild. There's a bunch of stuff that you think you know, and then you have to apply it a specific way where it's going to be worn on your person for a long amount of time. And all of a sudden, parameters and your understanding of things has shifted, and now it has to function differently than you thought. So there's a lot of like strategic thinking involved in it too.
Measurement. I think that, you know what, I wasn't expecting that, but that is so clutch.
It's really funny. Like there's a trait in the LARP that Brian and I are in, and it's a human trait, and it's called good enough. And it's basically like humans don't live as long as some of the like other races in this game. So they have a trait called good enough where it's like, this will work. So the whole like lore behind it is basically like they don't have time. They don't have the centuries to live to get it just right. So they'll just slapdash things together that are gonna work for their limited duration alive.
Dude.
I'm like, that's what I had before. I was very strongly in the good enough category. I was like, no one's gonna see this seam, so I don't need to worry about it. And now I'm like, but I can do better.
I can absolutely say that there have been evenings where I've just been alone on the couch at like midnight watching like Seinfeld reruns, where I've been just slamming Tinder and being like, yeah, that trait certainly kicked in. Yeah, good enough. Good enough. That said,
No shame.
no shame at all. It's you and I, man. It's just you and I. No one else is listening to this.
Yeah, nobody's gonna watch this or anything. We're just
Not-
talking here and you're recording it for no good reason.
We're besties, dude. I said it in the intro. Like, what else?
It's true. You
It's
did. You
gospel
did.
truth now. All right. This is always a concern for not just the cosplayers, but just the culture in general. And I want you, as somebody who has been a, quote unquote pro cosplayer, you are professional. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
I have now officially been paid for it. So yes, I guess that does put me in the pro division.
That you are in.
Really wild to think about. I still feel very amateur.
Yeah, you're ranked. You're ranked cosplaying right now. But some of the do's and don'ts of approaching cosplayers, and this is something that a lot of people have just they just sometimes gloss over, or they don't suspect that it's just something like that, because a lot of times people think that because you're acting as a character that you either are that character and everything surrounding that character's persona that they might perceive.
And to be fair, some people do RP as the characters that they're cosplaying. So see if you get that reaction, or just be like, oh, are you just cosplaying this? Or like, if that's, anyway, I'll dive further into that, but
right,
it's not always not true.
No, but some people will do it, but ultimately you're still operating within, reality, where rules and basic respects and such should continue to be maintained. Now, can you just, enumerate some of the do's and don'ts when approaching a cosplayer? Because I think that this is something that can never be understated, especially given the fact that cosplay and TCG culture now are so tightly knit.
Sure. It's pretty basic. Ask for pictures, which pretty much everybody already does. But like, you don't need to like creep us from behind somebody. Just ask us. We'll even pose and like look at your camera, please. Ask before contact. Don't just assume that you can put your arm around somebody or over their shoulder or like draw them in. That you wouldn't do that with people you don't know. You shouldn't do it with us just because we're dressed up. It's fine if you like don't know who we are and just call us by our character names. Like, that's okay. If you come up and say hi, like, please do introduce yourself, say hey. Like, we're generally very happy to meet people and everything. Since we're only operating in good faith, that's kind of it. Like, just ask for contact, ask for pictures. If you are seeing someone that maybe you didn't catch, if they're like half in their cosplay, if they're eating, give us a minute, please. I implore you. Generally, like, we don't want you to have bad pictures, and we don't want to be half dressed in something for those. So like, you can almost always catch us for a rain check, or we'll have a conversation with you really quickly. But like, if it looks like we're trying to like get off shift, please just let us go back to our hotel rooms and relax for a minute. Like, the same courtesy you extend to anybody else. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just consent. That's kind of the big deal. Just, ask for the pictures, ask for the contact. And if they're cool with it, you're good to go.
It's a big one. I always make sure that like I'll always have time to talk to somebody who wants to talk to me. The only one hard rule I have is if I'm peeing at a urinal, please, that's like, just, give me a half second. Like, I know that it doesn't take all of my consciousness to achieve relief that way, but please, like, I don't need to hear about your bad beat while I'm literally in the process.
Rules. Yeah,
that's a hard Flake rule. Like, I'll talk to you anywhere.
I don't think I've ever had that come up myself. So,
well, to be fair, urinals are literally just like, like the only thing that like separates people at urinals from like waiting for the bus is the fact that like you're literally exposing yourself. Like, everyone's just lined up facing a wall. It can be kind of awkward. You have like this little office cubicle that you can kind of go ahead and
we're pretty self-contained in most of the women's restrooms.
Yeah.
But and that's not to say like if we're sitting there preening in front of a mirror and you say, hey, great cosplay, it's just like, oh my god, thank you. We're not gonna be mad about that.
No, that's fine.
But like, probably not pictures in there. Let's wait until we get back out on the show floor.
Ugh.
So yeah,
that's a no.
It's very much just like, just be chill and kind, and that's the response you'll get to. But yeah, I think the two big things are just be mindful, like, of not immediately going for the attaching somebody else to you that you do not know. that's probably the biggest one, is that people will get overly friendly without realizing it. Like I can't say I've ever had one of those attributed to malice, because I would probably have an assault charge if it was. That being said, just like don't just dive in like you know us when you don't. That's all.
But we want to know you. It's just time and place, right?
Right, time, place, and that's
not
not necessarily
midstream,
how it always
please.
works.
Yeah, not midstream. All right, so you and I, we had met previously, but we got to hang out a lot at Worlds. And one thing that really endeared you to me was when I mentioned Incubus, and you were like, Brandon Boyd can still get it.
Literally always get it.
Always. This dude is, again, for those who don't know, where have you been? But Incubus is my all-time favorite band, forever and always.
No, I didn't know that part.
Oh, yes. Without a doubt, Incubus, hands down, my all-time favorite band. 90s music. I think this is where you and I kind of just really, I'm like, yeah, no, she gets it. She totally gets it. Is 90s music just not the greatest?
It's pretty dope. Not gonna lie.
Like,
I'm assuming you're saying like from Incubus being your band, I'm assuming like late 90s.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, most
of early aughts is where you're.
Yeah, like that's a nice little chunk. Again, I grew up, like I was born in the mid 80s. I grew up with like Seinfeld, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but just all of those, like even like backing up and just jamming on some Backstreet Boys, or dude, like if Hanson comes on and there's some bop going on, like
I will change the station. I'm out on that one. I do not know the words to that. I can.
You could plant a flower, you can plant a rose, you could plant any one of those. You could plant it to find out which one grows. It's a secret no one knows. Come on. That is some wisdom.
Sure. Take it to heart. I can't. If you said that to me without having said it was Hanson beforehand, it would have meant nothing to me.
No, because it is kind of.
Why is he rhyming? It's weird.
It's just bogus. It is literally just absolute stupidity in terms of lyrics. But did you know this is something that's really cool? Hanson, which came to prominence in like the mid 90s or whatever. There was a Canadian version of Hanson. Like Canada's answer to Hanson was a band of three brothers called the Moffats. And their songs were actual bangers too. So I'm gonna send you some links after this if you ever want to just jam one on, because
I had some of the friends at Loading Ready Run like indoctrinate me to the decade of the 90s in Canadian music. There's some like music channel you guys had that like was only playing like the older pop stuff, and some of it was ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some weird
I'm not saying that like American music has it, that market cornered by any chance, but some of it was just like, really?
Hey, Matthew Good Band. Matthew Good Band, like Our Lady Peace. I've heard
of both of those.
Yeah, though they are like absolute you're taking me back to high school. I'm gonna burn you a mixtape. I'm gonna send you a burnt CD.
Are you gonna have it with audio files, or is it gonna be MP3 so you can fit more on there?
There's gonna be MP3s for sure. I'm gonna send you some MP3s. You're gonna jam this in your Tercel. But it's not even there's no CD deck on the Tercel. It's actually that cassette.
It's the cassette plug-in that went to my Walkman. Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah,
we know what's up.
I'm ready. Yeah,
all right.
yeah. We lived there.
Yeah, we were in that era. All right. So, Olivia, I have a bunch of questions from the community. We can jam right through those. Are you ready for those? All right. We're going to take a quick break and some words from BCW Supplies, and then we'll get back to some Go Again with Olivia. Instant Speed is proudly supported by BCW Supplies. If you need protection for your cards, be it sleeves, deck boxes, storage, organizational tools, or hey, are you a comic book collector, a coin collector? BCW Supplies has your hookup. Use the code ISP10. Get 10% off all of your orders. Go to bcwsupplies.com. BCW, protect, store, display. All right, it's time to go wide on Olivia Gobert-Hicks. Hicks. I absolutely, yeah, that got bungled, but ultimately, fumble recovery, running it in for a touchdown. Go again with Olivia. Are you ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right, this one is from Pat Smash Good of the Combat Chain podcast, asking, okay, what's it going to take for Olivia to start streaming some Flesh and Blood? And second question, what is your deadlift max?
Ooh. So I feel like FAB is kind of tough to stream, like, because it really is that 1v1 sort of thing, and it's relatively fast paced. I haven't played too much CC, so I'm not like, I know that some matches can go on for a long time, but I also know my skill level probably isn't the highest. Ask again when the PvE comes out and or when I get some decks built for UPF. Deadlift max is not high. It's probably one of my weakest lifts. I think it's like 215, 225. It's not great.
That means nothing to me. I have no idea what that is.
That means I like pull 225 pounds off the ground.
Sweet.
From like a squat position to standing.
Okay, so now I know that as long as I don't exceed that weight, if I do in fact die on the stage somewhere, you will be able to actually remove my body for like an award ceremony. Okay.
My max deadlift of a human body is 185.
I'm still under that. I'm okay. I'm at like 175. I'm just fluttering under that. So I got.
Okay.
The holidays are coming though, so we might be pushing.
I understand. Yeah.
All right.
Winter is coming.
Next one is from Rich, aka the Polish guy, one of our patrons here. So thank you, Rich. Also an A+ human being, just a good person.
Oh, great.
MTG players might know her, but FAB players may not. Can Olivia describe her friendship with and the impact that Christine Sprankles has had on the cosplay industry for card games? Also, I always love to hear people's journeys, so I want to know hers as well. Well, we talked a little bit about that, Rich. Hopefully, the journey through has sort of fleshed that out in the previous segments there. But how about your relationship with Christine?
I love Christine. She and I actually lived together for a while in up in Nevada, and yeah, I wouldn't have gotten into cosplay without her, and I am eternally grateful for her guidance and her friendship. She is just delightful, and I'm so glad I know her and get to call her a friend.
She's a good person. I didn't get to speak to her much, if at all, but by all accounts from everybody, she's a plus.
Yep.
This one from Clark. What hero do you enjoy playing, and what do you think about the gameplay and the ideology of that particular hero? Also, second question is, what is your impression of LSS and the big FAB events that you've attended?
Yeah, I do like Prism. I have her Blitz deck. I also have a Briar and oh god, what's the other one? I can't remember the third hero's deck that I have. But I like Prism. She's too big brain for me. The whole illusionist stuff is just like I don't have the mindset for it, which is fine. I will learn elsewhere. The hero I've drafted the most hilariously has been Cops. The second question, my impression of LSS and the FAB events I've attended, like the community's amazing. Everybody's been so kind, so sweet. It's been really like a pleasure working with LSS. Just being able to just the way they treat their community, from what it seems, has been really incredible. Like they care like their players care, which is pretty awesome to see. Yeah, like I said, I'm whenever I get, hey, would you be willing to show up at this FAB thing? The answer is unequivocally yes. Like the community's been great, the experiences have been great, and I really appreciate that they want me there, and I enjoy going, so I will continue to do so.
Wicked cool. This one from Cathartigan from Twitter asking, how do you think Flesh and Blood could attract a wider audience? Not necessarily just Magic players, but where do you see FAB could expand to attract a wider sci-fi/fantasy community? Now, this has always been a challenge when a new card game comes in amidst a titan like Magic. You know, sometimes it's not about stealing votes, as it were. It's maybe about just generating fresh ones from that might not be interested in card games. Yeah,
I think that's kind of the thing. I mean, every time I've talked with friends about it, when I like mentioned that, oh yeah, I've played Flesh and Blood, like it's really cool, you should check it out. I have appreciated and enjoyed the game, the limited games that I have played. I think honestly, like part of the attracting a wider audience is just time, like, and having other people take it up and talk about it genuinely. Like I know another thing too is like LGS support, and there's only so much that you can do with that, because like if people don't know them, they're not going to show up for events, so why would the place hold the events if nobody's coming? But nobody knows the big, you know, cyclical churn of how hard it can be for that. But you know, I think just keeping the community the way it is, like it's been, again, really positive, and if all the interactions I've had, and you know, when you're talking to people about like, hey, if we're having a game night or whatever, like just teach it to people and help people take it up is kind of probably the best way you can do that. And like, from especially reading, the Welcome to Wraith book, like there's cool lore. Like you can sell that part of the storytelling too if someone's maybe not super into the game or that is a good segue for them. Like tell them about that as well.
Wonderful. Ian Carrico, aka at Deadly Barracuda. Not that those passive barracudas. This is a very dangerous one. What is your favorite thing about Flesh and Blood?
I think my favorite thing at this moment is that it was easy to pick up and the community was supportive of people learning it. So when I went to that first event in Vegas, I was like, hey friends, I heard about this game. I have a very basic, like rudimentary understanding of it. I understand how the turn works. I know how the combat chain works. I am absolutely going to play suboptimally. Are you guys cool with helping? And literally everybody at the table is like, yeah. We'll make sure that you know what's going on or like point out better plays as they're coming. So I think the like ability for someone who's completely fresh to pick up a deck, have kind-hearted people that want other people to get involved with the game because that's good. That's how it keeps going. That's how it stays healthy. And walking them through to make sure that they have a good experience so they do want to come back is probably my favorite part about it right now.
Wonderful. Red Zone Rogue.
He answered the question. It's like it's self-contained. I don't need to say like it's right there. What's my favorite FAB format and why is it UPF? Well, obviously.
That was the question.
We went into great detail about why UPF is super sweet for me in the beginning of this. So I hope that answered your question, Red Zone Rogue.
Yeah, that was it. We'll just, I don't want to say gloss over it, but in my mind, I started giggling because I just pictured the absolute pure, just like razor sharp, deadly focus he had. As soon as I presented an attack for 3, he's like, oh, really? And it's like, oh my God. Yeah, we've awakened the beast.
We're in trouble. Oh God.
Big time. Will Bradshaw at Will Lee Brad says, what was the draw to play Prism, aside from her obviously being the best hero in FAB?
So a little bit was pragmatism because when I got asked to show up for Vegas, it was like, Levia would be sick. That looks like it's going to be a nightmare to try to make in under a month's time. Prism looked super sweet. That's kind of like, I do appreciate the whole like white, gold, and bookish aesthetic. So between that and then seeing like she had the weird halo thing, I was like, well, that's a challenge I want to accept. So I think I could make something that would work for that. So yeah, that was kind of my draw, was when I was looking through the characters, like that was the artistic one that like stood out to me first. And so I decided to go with Prism for that, and I've stuck with her since. I did get the Soraya card for my preview for Dynasty, and I was like, I told Chris at LSS, I was like, you should have sent this to me like a month ago, just the art, so I could have made this for Worlds because I would have. That's so my jam. So
well, it was awesome too. I mean, you are Prism until you're not.
Until I'm not, yeah. But living legend now, I've ascended. It's fine.
Congratulations, you have made it. Yeah. Last one from Az. You met Az.
Oh, Az is wonderful. Oh my goodness.
Az is
so
incredible.
Much fun meeting Az.
Yeah, Az was awesome. My first meeting with Az was in France. Actually, we went to he organized a karaoke in Lille where the standard.
Amazing.
Oh well, it's like the standard Facebook kind of group procedure. Like I always talk about karaoke. I love karaoke, and he took it upon himself. He's like, "We're gonna do it. I'm gonna set it up." He set it up. And standard Facebook kind of invite procedure where, like 90 people say they're going to go and 4 actually show up.
People showed up, yeah.
Yeah, it was myself, him, my girlfriend at the time, Vince, aka Pleasant Kenobi, and a few other, there was Craig Krempels, his wife, and a few, like maybe 2 or 3 others showed up. But we absolutely rocked it out. And
it sounds amazing, honestly.
I had to tap out at I was like, I'm going to be there till 10. And then I'm going to go because I have to work the next morning. And it was like 11:30, and I'm yelling Rage Against the Machine, like, fuck you, you won't do it. And then I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah. And like my girlfriend at the time looks at me and I'm like, yeah, I should probably not mess this up. So that said.
There's only so much time to kill in the name of it.
Yes. Exactly. Wonderful human being. Last question is from Az asking, after playing a few games of the social format, UPF, do you think it competes with the casual aspect of Commander, or should it focus more on PvE to rope in the social casual crowd?
I think yes. I think that the UPF, in that it's not like PvE and that it is a little more targeted, I guess, on who it is you're attacking, on how you form an alliance, on that kind of stuff. I think that is like the balance in between, right? I think that UPF is a spot where you can have more than one person playing, but you're still playing that same style of 1v1 flesh and blood. I think that PvE is something I can't wait to see, because that will probably be way more my style of bringing in the real hard casual / here for the social experience players. So I think both are true. I think there are parts of UPF that definitely can work with that same aspect of Commander, in that it's not so 1v1 competitive cutthroat, but it still allows you to play powerfully, to still have a very flesh and blood experience in going 1v1 on somebody with how, you're playing the game. I think that PvE will be kind of like the next step down on the competitive level, of like closer to where like the more social Commander style is, of like, sure, we'll make high powered plays, but it's more the experience in the game as part of facilitating that than it is we're really in on the game, and it's cool that we have social too.
You can see his picture, right? On the
Yes. How could I not?
I was gonna say,
Stunning.
every time, like, I love this guy to death. He looks like he's a sidekick to Tom Selleck in an 80s cop movie. Like,
He walked out of 1987.
absolute legend.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
That right
Az.
there is like early 90s pro wrestler hair. Like,
Oh.
I've seen that mullet before, and it's stunning.
Oh, for sure. This is
Majestic,
he
even.
just took the Intercontinental title off of Shawn Michaels, and he's ready.
100%.
Yeah, he's just ready to just just go ham. Yeah. All right, Olivia, you're an absolute gem, and I do appreciate
thank
your
you.
friendship and doing the show. Thank you so much. For
My
all
pleasure.
those who want more Olivia, be it checking out.
Want that.
Yeah. Elder Dragon Hijinks is an incredible show that now stars
thank
2
you.
of my closest friends. So go tell us where we can get more Olivia.
So yeah, if you want to watch me playing Commander with Ailey on YouTube, we're at Elder Dragon Hijinks. I'm my last name on Twitter and Instagram at Gobert-Hicks, Goberthicks. So those are kind of the places that you can find me. If you find me on Facebook, it's not really me because I'm not on Facebook. Yeah, that's the place you'll find me. Oh, and on Twitch, I stream Commander 3 nights a week on most weeks. This is being recorded right before American Thanksgiving, so not this week because it's time to make food. But otherwise, twitch.tv/affinityartifacts.
Well, thank you so much again for doing the show. You rock sauce.
My pleasure. Oh, thank you.
No worries. All right, friends, thank you so much for tuning in. To our sponsors at Kayfabe Cards, go to kayfabecards.com. As well as BCW Supplies, our patrons, because you guys are just the ultimate big sauces. I love you all very much. And don't forget, you're not losing if you're learning, so keep playing the game. You might win. Catch you next time on Instant Speed.
Well,